Hello, my name is Kai, and welcome to the Theoretical YouTube channel, where we are about to embark on one of our most ambitious projects yet. Well, I guess it's not actually that ambitious, but it is different. In the coming weeks, we are going to be putting out a series of videos all relating to movie trailers. They will consist of Are Trailer Shots Okay?, a brief history of movie trailers, and we'll top it all off with our top 10 movie trailers. But before we get to those, we're starting with this video. What makes movie trailers work? So without wasting any more time, because this is going to be a pretty long video, make sure to click that subscribe button if you don't want to miss any of this series, and let's get on with it. Movie trailers. They're those short clips designed to prepare you for a new movie coming out that play in the theater, on TV, or even just in a YouTube ad. In fact, it's totally possible that YouTube played a trailer for you before this very video. Well, I mean, it's particularly less likely right now, but as more theaters start to open up, we're gonna be seeing a lot more of them. But getting right to the point of this video, it may be weird, but to me, a really good movie trailer can have so much more of an impact than even the movie itself. Like, I often get chills watching great movie trailers, and if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. It's the exact same reason that people get addicted to apps on their phones. People don't get their highest doses of dopamine, one of the chemicals in your brain that makes you feel happy, when you actually look at something on social media. They actually reach their peak either when they hear the bell ding or right before they click on the notification. It's not the real reward that makes people happy, it's the anticipation that something good is coming. But to relate this back to movies, the reason I can still get chills from, say, a Crimes of Grindelwald trailer is because when I first saw it, my mind was riding on the anticipation, and now when I see it again, I'm brought back to that moment. Whereas when I first saw the movie, I went in with excitement, but after around the first act, my mind starts to calm down because I no longer have to anticipate, I'm already watching the movie. And it's not specific to Crimes of Grindelwald. Here at the Theoretical YouTube channel, we actually like that movie, which is apparently not okay. But not all good movies have good trailers. Let's use the Frozen movies for an example. I really enjoy both movies, but I like the first one more. However, when it comes to their trailers, there's no competition. Here, look at these two trailers.
If we don't do something soon, we'll all freeze to death.
You want to talk about a problem? I sell ice for a living.
Now, which one moves you more? Which one makes you actually want to go out and see this movie? So I can't exactly speak for you, but I'm willing to bet our answers are the same. Frozen 2's trailer just feels like more than a cheap advertisement, and that's what makes me like it so much better. The original Frozen's trailer just feels like a 2-minute video telling you to go buy a ticket and see this movie, whereas Frozen 2's trailer just feels like more. So that's my first criterion for what makes a trailer good. It has to feel like more than an ad. I have to be able to tell that they put time and effort into making this for me, as opposed to just throwing together some clips and text on the screen. And before we move on, there's one more thing I want to talk about in that Frozen 2 trailer. Again, in that opening that's supposed to get you hooked and excited about Frozen 2, this is one of the most well-animated shots I've ever seen, right up there with, like, the Toy Story 4 slingshot maneuver shot. In fact, this shot is so well-animated that it didn't make me excited for Frozen 2, because I thought this was a live-action movie. Then when I saw Elsa, I got excited for Frozen 2 and may have screamed just a little bit, but that's not the point. My second criterion is that the trailer has to show off what the movie does well. Whether that's comedy, horror, animation, or even, like, casting, I guess? In any case, I need to know why I want to see this movie before I go look at the reviews or the Rotten Tomatoes score. And with that, we're moving from the Frozen trailers to a bunch of trailers that you've probably never seen before, but I'm almost certain you've seen their movies. If you want to see a good evolution of movie trailers, I highly recommend you watch all of these Star Wars trailers, from 1977 all the way up to 2019. If you have not seen all of these trailers, I will leave a card in the upper right hand corner. I highly recommend you watch them all. Okay, so you either just watched all the trailers or you didn't want to. But either way, let's go all the way back to 1977 for the trailer for A New Hope. Okay, so honestly, while researching for this video and watching this trailer for the first time, I laughed out loud. The entire style and the way they go about introducing characters and what the movie's about is just completely different from what I expected. But I'm not just gonna talk about it. Here, watch it for yourself.
Somewhere in space, this may all be happening right now.
What is happening? It's just a random space voice talking over a little white blob slowly zooming into the camera. And let me tell you, that blob moves at the same agonizing pace for 2 minutes. But okay, the thing you have to understand about this is that this was the first Star Wars movie. No one had ever heard of it, and even George Lucas didn't know it was going to do as well as it did. But like, this is how they advertise Star Wars? This is how they show George Lucas's ability to direct a space movie?
George Lucas, the man who brought you American Graffiti.
But if you think about it, what could they have done? What should they have done? This was just supposed to be another movie, instead of the multi-billion-dollar generation-crossing phenomenon that it became. But when we move on to The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, the trailer has a lot more to go on. The Empire trailer starts off with the same word zooming into the camera, and it says this phrase.
Luke Skywalker and Han Solo rescued the princess, destroyed the Death Star, but their story didn't end there.
Did you see what they did there? In the last movie, they didn't have anything to go off of for marketing, and this time, they've got a whole lot of it. I mean, they literally call it the
Biggest smash hit of all time.
And then they give you a quick recap of what happened, interwoven with clips from this movie to remind you of why you liked it and why you will like this one. Additionally, in the Jedi trailer, they use specific events from past movies to get people in seats for this movie.
A destiny revealed.
Is Darth Vader my father?
A legend fulfilled.
Again, you can see them utilizing their already established fan base to get people to want to see their movie. So yes, while it's not always possible and thus not one of my official criteria, it's great if you can to include something in the trailer that you know the audience will like, so they have something to look forward to in the actual movie. This could be an actor, a director, or a cliffhanger. But there's one more thing they're doing in these trailers that might not be as obvious. Instead of watching these trailers and looking for differences, try listening to them.
It's an epic of heroes and villains and aliens from 1,000 worlds.
It's an epic of romance, of heroes and villains.
So what are they changing in this trailer to make it feel drastically more energetic? The music. There is little to no music in the original trailer for Star Wars, and that's probably a result of the movie's score being finished months to weeks before the movie even premieres. They're some of the very last things to be implemented into the movie. It's dumb, but it's true. However, most of the music for this movie was already written by the brilliant John Williams for A New Hope, so they just used the music from A New Hope in this trailer. And for me, this is one of the most important criteria. You have to use either the music or even just the sound of your trailer well. It could be a score, it could be pop music, it could even be the absence of sound itself, like in this shot from Uncut Gems.
Is it too late?
When the music cuts out there, it just makes the punch feel so much harder. Oh, and something I personally like is called Mickey Mousing. We actually talked about this in a previous video. To basically sum it up, it is the syncing of music with something happening on screen. Its most popular and probably first use was in Steamboat Willie, hence the name Mickey Mousing. But you can see it nowadays in things like this shot from the Doolittle trailer.
Babies cry, watch them grow.
Obviously this is not essential, but I just think it's pretty cool anytime someone uses it, and it's pretty easy to do. Even though throughout the first Star Wars trilogy, I think these trailers got a lot better, I still would not say they are great. And for that, we must keep moving forward. Frankly, I was a bit afraid to start going through the prequels trailers. If George Lucas can make 3 movies that have sparked a forest fire in fans that has not burned out, rather gotten worse in 20 years, what could he possibly do with the trailers? But for movies that turned out the way they did, their trailers are actually not that bad. Well, kind of. It's really just the beginning of The Phantom Menace and the end of The Revenge of the Sith. Everything else is kinda just filler. While researching for this video and watching the trailer for The Phantom Menace, I realized that this was the first trailer that actually made me excited about Star Wars. And it was for one particular moment about 30 seconds in. Does that remind you of anything? Like, oh, I don't know. The first 30 seconds of this trailer to me feels more like Star Wars than any of the original trilogy's trailers. And that's sort of an extension to the first criterion I stated. Yes, the trailer has to feel like more than a 2-minute clip just begging you to buy their tickets, but if it's part of a franchise like Star Wars, it's gonna have to feel like Star Wars. And as for the rest of the trailer, it's not that great. There's nothing I found particularly interesting that we haven't already touched on before. Oh, by the way, for those of you who hate the CGI Yoda in the prequels, they tried the puppet first. Now, can you really blame them for thinking that was a bit terrifying? The Attack of the Clones trailer is the weakest of all of the Star Wars trailers in my opinion, which is weird because it seems to follow all of my criteria so far. Wait, does that mean I can't boil down the entire art of filmmaking into a few simple steps? No, of course not. You see, the music is good, it heavily shows off its groundbreaking effects, and it feels like Star Wars. So if the trailer has done everything right, then what is it doing wrong? Well, there's one criterion I haven't said yet. The trailer has to tell just enough of the story to get the audience hooked. But this trailer is full of story, and that's the exact problem. For a trailer to be effective, it can't just tell the audience the whole story, because that would be overwhelming. And for a movie with an overwhelming amount of story anyway, the trailer just feels like a speed run. Here is a list of every plot point mentioned in the trailer. Palpatine's promotion, the Jedi fighting the Separatists, Padme's assassination, Obi-Wan hates flying, Anakin's rebelliousness, Anakin's arrogance, Anakin's power with the Force, Palpatine pulling Anakin to the dark side, Jango Fett somehow trying to kill Padme, and helping make a clone army for the Republic, and they're mad about it, I guess. Obi-Wan still hates flying, Dooku wants to join Obi-Wan, the dark side is clouding the Force, something in an arena with bug people and monsters, and a duel with Dooku. That's insane! It's like the entire plot of the movie, but without any of the explanation. And the only reason you even need to mention the clones is because they're in the title. If the title didn't have the word clone in it, then I would be fine if you just stuck to space, wizards, and politics. This is just the teaser trailer. Explain more later if you need to. And with that, let's move on to Revenge of the Sith. The first half of this trailer suffers from the exact same problem with Attack of the Clones. The trailer is literally a synopsis of the film, but about halfway through they do one thing that I would never expect. They literally just reveal their whole hand and show us Order 66. They show us Palpatine as Sidious, they show us the Jedi dying, and they show us Anakin murdering younglings. The entire trilogy has been leading up to this moment, and they reveal it in their first trailer. The thing is, normally I would think this was a terrible decision, but given the circumstances, it's perfect. Everyone watching this knows what's gonna happen. We know Palpatine is Sidious. We know all of the Jedi are wiped out, and we know Anakin has to become Darth Vader. So why on earth would the studio try to hide this from us when they can just show us in the trailer and get us hyped to see it in the theater? Therefore, I would say that my last criterion for making a good trailer is that you have to know who you are advertising to. Another example would be that if you're advertising an R-rated movie, appeal to R-rated themes and ideas. But if you're advertising a PG-13 Christmas movie, get that Christmas voiceover guy.
Right before Christmas, a good guy in red, is coming to theaters with his new sidekick, Fred.
Up until this point, we have been looking at trailers that I would say are not great. But here, we get to look at some truly amazing movie trailers. So now that I have laid out all of my criteria for what makes a good movie trailer, I'm going to point out some of my highlights from the sequel trilogy's trailers. Just as some people see The Force Awakens as a sort of fan service the movie, the trailer is filled with a lot of things that make you go, ooh, I remember that, and we've never seen that before. The "we've never seen that before" category is particularly effective because it gets the audiences thinking about important ideas to see the movie, like, I wonder what a stormtrooper's life is actually like, and what use would a crossguard on a lightsaber actually have? All of this is hitting on the last criterion, of knowing that these are Star Wars geeks, and they will get way too excited at just the sight of a desert. And since they're appealing to Star Wars geeks, and this is the first movie in a new trilogy, of course the music and visuals make it feel a heck of a lot like Star Wars. And as for showing off what they're good at, I mean, come on. Moving on to The Last Jedi trailer, not only does it start off feeling like Star Wars as it looks like a shot of space, but as the brightness increases and we see what it really is, it sets up one of the most important themes for the movie. Rian Johnson not only subverts our expectations many times in the film with things like irons, but characters like DJ show us that we can't truly understand something until we see all perspectives. All of that shown in just this one shot of some stars turning into rocks. The symbolism of the sky versus the earth also shows off the duality that Rey describes in the next bit, and it all comes to a head when Luke finally puts it into words, saying that it's so much bigger than just light, dark, and balance. Wow, I didn't realize how much I actually liked that shot until I had to describe its significance to the story. Next, the music in the first half of this trailer is different from the music used in The Force Awakens in one key way. The last trailer utilized music from the original trilogy to make it sound like Star Wars, but now the music from the new trilogy is also associated with Star Wars. So now they can use its music to serve another more story-driven purpose, like using Rey's theme to symbolize the light side and Kylo Ren's theme to symbolize the dark side. There are actually 2 points I saw them use Mickey Mousing, here, and here. Like I said, this is not necessary at all, I just really like it. And finally we get to move on to the Rise of Skywalker trailer. And I have been using the teaser trailer for each of these movies, but for this one I'm using the third trailer. The reason I'm doing this is because this is my favorite trailer. And it's my video, so I get to break the rules if I want to. We're all good with that? It doesn't matter. Alright, let's go. The first half of this trailer is basically split into sections depending on who's doing the voiceover at the time. These voiceovers show the different characters' points of view and what they have to go through during the movie. Finn describes a new instinct that he feels. We know it's the Force, but he's still learning that. Poe is concerned with the war and leadership, since throughout the film he becomes the leader of the Resistance. Rey has shifted her focus from learning her own identity to others telling her they know her identity. Kylo Ren answers her saying that no one knows her by saying that he knows her because they're like Force dyads or something, and it's their connection that has driven the story thus far. Palpatine describes his long plan to rise to power, which is the extent of his character. And then there's C-3PO, who's the only character whose dialogue actually lines up with what we see in the trailer, but that's just because it'd be kinda weird to give C-3PO a voiceover. Anyway, his lines demonstrate his role in the entire franchise. He is not the most active character, but he is friends with the main characters and he is willing to do anything for them. And all of that voiceover fits into the story category, but if we want to dip into the other categories, we're gonna have to look at some visuals. This trailer certainly feels like Star Wars. The lightsabers, the ships, the rebels, the deserts. Even if you thought this movie was unfaithful to the franchise, you cannot deny that this trailer is for Star Wars. And there's another thing that I think they're adding to this trailer to make it feel like so much more, and that is an appeal to the Sublime. If you don't remember from your 10th grade English class, something is sublime when it is so grandiose that it sparks awe in the viewer. Anytime you get chills just from seeing something, that's the Sublime. And Star Wars is filled with it, but I've never seen a better example than in this trailer. This is the first time we actually get to see the scale that this world is built on. The characters in this travel from planet to planet across galaxies in mile-long ships at light speed. But one of the best examples of the Sublime I can see in this trailer is just the waves crashing on the Death Star. Just to fit them in the shot, the characters have to be reduced to a matter of pixels. But not only does this make the waves seem powerful, but it makes the characters even more so. When Kylo Ren walks through this giant wave like it's nothing, he becomes so much more menacing than before. But the second half of this trailer is where you get all of the feels, and that is mostly due to the music. I mean, just listen to that swell. And then it just keeps going with the sort of slowed down victory march version of the main theme. And all the while you're seeing shots that simultaneously tell the story, feel like Star Wars, and show off what the movie is good at. This shot. It is the most important point in the final battle. It has cameos from like 20 Star Wars ships, and it is a fully rendered, extremely detailed CG shot, and it looks perfect. But that's not it. This isn't even the full shot. They cropped it in the trailer so it would be even more impressive in the theater. This trailer has everything from Mickey Mousing to making you tear up when you hear Carrie Fisher say the single word.
Always.
That's why this is my favorite trailer. It's just so perfect. It's so sublime. It also doesn't end with a clickbaity shot of Evil Rey. Okay, I made it through all 9 films in the Skywalker saga just to try to showcase what goes into a good movie trailer. And now that I just filmed it, I regret it because this was a long video, so I'm going to try to keep the outro as short as possible. Like this video if you did, subscribe if you want to see more content like it. This month will be the most regular release schedule we have ever had. Also, comment down below if you have any criteria I missed or just anything else to say. Twitter's a thing. Follow us at theory_central for occasional reminders that we exist. And that's it, so thanks for watching and we'll see you later.